Ground control to Major Steve. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? As I think it was David Bowie once said.
Commander Bolling at the mothership. I hear you loud and clear. Over.
I'm the astronaut. You're the brains of the. You're like, I don't know. You're in the control room. And tell me which buttons to press to get to the Mars or something. The political Mars.
You're Major Eric, and this is ground control. How you doing?
So can we talk a little bit about what? Wow, what a day. What a day. Last night, Amazon reports better than expected earnings, but they warned going forward, saying there's some issues that they're concerned about. Amazon starts to move down. Things started to look a little bit better. This jobs report came out, and it said that it was much weaker than they expected. To note, Trump said he wants the people who are involved in compiling the jobs, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, he wants them tossed because he thinks they were, they're cooking the books. And by the way, when you think about Jerome Powell, who lowered interest rates aggressively into the election, which would only help the incumbent, Joe Biden, and then raised them aggressively going into Trump's term and refuses to move them down, I will agree with you on this, Steve, that rates should be substantially lower. America would be much better off financially if they were. Now, my question to you is, okay, a lot going on in the markets. Why in the heck? I just want to know, why are we futzing around with Russia and Ukraine?
I really am very upset about this. Medvedev, or whatever his name is, the president who really doesn't have any power, has been sending out some tweets challenging President Trump on some of the stuff President Trump's been saying, and we forward deployed, I think, today two nuclear boomer submarines, ballistic missile submarines, the ones that launch the hot ones. Not fast attacks there to guard the carriers, but actually, this is our offensive capability for nuclear weapons. We set those. President Trump has forward deployed those, as he said, off the coast of Russia. So I think that's a major escalation. On the same day, Eric, they had a fistfight, I think, in the Ukrainian parliament because the people of Ukraine are adamant about keeping this corruption bureau that Zelensky doesn't want. So Zelensky's thugs, they kind of got into it. I 100% agree with you. With everything we've got going on, and now we have to figure out the situation with AI because we don't want to have the economy growing like crazy and great jobs not coming with it. So we have a ton of issues here. President Trump's got so much on his plate. And to add this, I think is just, I think it's adding too much, and it's a distraction now.
Yeah, and just so you know, the market tanked early on because of the jobs report and some of the things that were going on. It started to recover. Then all of a sudden, there's this sniping, this public sniping between Medvedev and the Trump administration. It just seems like I don't know, Steve. It's. I come from the school of thought. I'm not sure it's the Bannon school. I think it was the Bannon school at one point, where it's not our war, it's not our conflict to fight to win for Ukraine, maybe 100%. Not even for NATO. Your thoughts?
Well, President Trump's 100%, and President Trump reiterated it in his tweet that he said he was forward positioning the two ballistic missile submarines. He said this is Biden's war. It never started. He talked about the casualty list, everything like that. The president should understand we 1,000% agree. It's not his war. The killing fields are getting worse. I mean, he did do some numbers today that I think were pretty shocking about the casualty rates. And I keep telling people these casualty rates they're having in the Ukraine conflict are greater than in the first couple of years of World War II. Really before the Germans invaded Russia, when it really kicked off and you really got to big league fighting. This thing is very dangerous, and we're inexorably getting drawn in more and more. The president's got so much on his plate. And, one of the reasons it dropped earlier in the day, Eric, is that President Trump last night kind of even put out some more details on his on the redoing of the commercial relationships, tariffs. Now, we think it's great. It's going to be fantastic, but the market's got a lot to absorb. There are a lot of people, finance ministers in Europe and in Asia that are bad-mouthing it. So there's a lot to sort out here economically. He fired the head of Bureau of Labor Statistics, so that we had E.J. Antoni on this morning to walk through, as we do every month, why the person that's running it is screwed up. And EJ is going to be back on the show this afternoon to talk more about that. But President Trump's got a full plate, and this Ukraine situation is beyond volatile.
For a second, I think I've been watching this.
Sure.
Obviously, I came from Wall Street first, and then 12 years in Wall Street, 12 years at Fox News. I followed the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I am sure they cook the books. I am positive they've cooked the books politically for the entirety of 30 years. I've been doing either Wall Street or television, because they'll put out a number and it'll be oh wow, that's really strange. Market will react. And then the next 2 months, they'll correct the number that they put out, and no one ever talks about it. It's like a quiet little, let's slide 40 or 50 or 100,000 jobs either created or lost in the last month or 2 months ago. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's now. That was 2 months ago. It's a trick that they use. And I'm if the FBI can be cooked, can be turned, the Bureau of Labor Statistics could be turned much easier.
Eric, you nailed it. And this was acceptable, I think, in Biden, because they would always go back and have, they give you a phony number and then do a downward tick. Here with President Trump, they wiped out, 250,000 jobs, 250,000 jobs. So I think he's just had enough of it. And I'm kind of shocked why this move wasn't made earlier. And I think for President Trump, as it gets with the recess appointments, I'm not sure he's getting full information on a lot of things that are happening, because once he gets alerted to it, there's an instantaneous decision. Bang. Let's decide that and move on. So I think the same thing with the appointments over the Senate were unlikely.
One of the problems going forward, everyone should know this. These people that work at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, et cetera, in SEC, for example, the Securities and Exchange Commission, who are charged with keeping their eyes on Wall Street, they end up having a cozy relationship with those folks over there, because they end up going to work for them when they're done in government. And so they don't necessarily hold them to the standards that they're supposed to be holding them to. There should be a Chinese wall. There should be a firewall. If you're going to work at the SEC or the BLS or any of these government agencies that regulate the street, you can never go work for the street. And then you probably have have more accuracy and more transparency, so to speak, of what's going on Wall Street.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like it a whole lot. We'll bring that up with EJ and Tony when we get him on here in the B block.
You have a very good show, and you have a very good weekend, my friend. I will talk to you over the weekend. We have some other things we want to talk about. I'll talk to you offline, and we'll see you Monday, Stephen.